you focus so much on listening and communicating effectively, right? And efficiently. So for someone who right now, they would say, I am an introvert. I do have a story, but I don't know how to tell my story. Like, where does communication start at? And how can anybody start to blaze their path as an effective communicator?
Well, I think first of all, there is a connection with other people, which is important. And that comes from curiosity. In fact, I mean, I talk about 4 C's of effective listening, and you can apply them to communication generally, I think. The first C is consciousness. Now, that's an important word in this whole conversation. It's consciousness that you're actually doing a thing when you're listening. It's not like hearing. Hearing's automatic, like your heart beating. You can't turn your hearing off. It's on all the time, unless you're
Right.
wearing these, of course. But even then, I'm listening now. So conscious that listening is a different process. It's selecting certain things to pay attention to out of all the stuff you hear. You know, you're hearing 360 degrees all around you in a sphere all the time. And some things you pay attention to, you select, and then you make them mean something. You ascribe meaning to them. Have I heard that before? Is it dangerous? Is it happy? Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know, what do I expect to happen next? There's all this interpretation going on very, very, very fast. So your physical reaction to the sound comes from hearing, whether you get you might have a fight flight response. If somebody drops something behind you, your heart will suddenly go and you'll get cortisol and noradrenaline and so forth. But the interpretation, well, that is listening. And so I call listening making meaningful sound, and it's a skill. And that's the biggest thing that most people don't understand about listening, is that listening is a skill. Just like athletic skills or writing or any skill you care to name, origami, I don't care, whatever it is, you can practice it and you can get better at it. And that is crucial to understand. So consciousness about listening is critical. If you're not conscious, you're back into the don't know what you don't know scenario.
Right.
The second C is compassionate or compassion. It's very difficult to be good in communication and good as a speaker also if you don't care about the other person. Now, I'm not saying we have to love everybody, although that would be a very good thing. Loving kindness in Buddhism or Christian agape love or whatever all the religions center on this one thing. So, it is undeniably a good thing if we can go around being benevolent and so forth. That's not necessarily the way that most people are. Nevertheless, if you can have compassion, that is a really big step forward. I may not agree with you, but I might at least understand why it is that you believe what you believe.
Right.
And that's compassion. I can see why you got there. It's not me, that's you, but I can see how you got there, even if I fundamentally disagree with you. We could do a bit more of that in the world at the moment. The third C is commitment, because listening takes effort. It's not just a skill, it's work as well. Just like love is work. And unfortunately, these things do take effort. They take discipline, they take commitment. You have to be asking yourself, have I been doing this? Am I doing it right now? Can I get better at this? How have I expressed this? So commitment, I talk about, what was it? Scott Peck said, you cannot truly listen to another human being and do anything else at the same time, which I really agree with. And yet we spend so much time going, oh, yeah, I am listening. No, you're sending a text. That's not listening. It's doing something else. And there's a little bit of partial listening going on, which is the most common form of listening in the world today, I think, in my experience anyway. And the final C of the 4, that is curiosity, being curious. I had a trainer who talked once about being ferociously curious. I think that's a really good attitude, because that, again, comes from humility. I might learn something here from this person. If I actually had a conversation coming from compassion, I would probably learn something. We have so many snap judgments, the cover determining what we think the book is going to be all the time of people. We're always judging.
Right.
And curiosity is a wonderful antidote to that. It really is. You just treating everybody you meet as an opportunity to learn, not just another human being, not dismissed because they're like that and I know what they're going to be like, an opportunity to learn. What might I learn here? Then you get listening, and then you get a connection. And that connection is crucial, because I talk in the book that I wrote called How to Be Heard, and in my online course and so forth, all the time I talk about this one thing, the circle of communication. Speaking and listening, it's not a line like that. It's not I speak, you listen, or whichever way around you want to say it. I listen, you speak. It's not like that. It's a circle, because the way I speak affects the way you listen. The way you listen affects the way I speak. The way I speak affects the way you speak. And the way you listen affects the way I listen, and so forth. There's all this interrelationship happening all the time.
It's like a tango dance.
You know, it is. It's a dance all the time with another human being. And if you start to understand that, then in order to be understood, you need to do your bit and keep the circle going. So good listeners tend to be also people who are quite powerful in communication, and vice versa. I think it's difficult to be continually powerful in speaking if you don't listen to other people, because nobody likes somebody who talks over them all the time, interrupts and does the anyway thing when they're talking. That's just demeaning, it's dismissive, and people will get the hump, and they will go and talk to somebody else because you're being bombastic or overbearing or whatever it might be. So it's not all about sending. And I think that's important. I also realized that my TED talk about speaking has been seen by 5 times as many people as my TED talk about listening. That says something.
Yeah, that definitely says something. And so to recap on it, we have consciousness, right? You have to be conscious. You have compassion. You have commitment. And then you have curiosity. Those are the 4 C's that you have to. And I love the way you explained it.